Hi, it's Sam. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through a patch that I've already made to talk about changeable arguments and unique identifiers. Changeable arguments are #1 through #9, and these can only be used in an abstraction and its subpatchers. #0 is used as a unique identifier and similarly can only be used in an abstraction and its subpatchers. If you'll remember, an abstraction is a patch that you've saved to your computer, and you can just type in that patch's name to create an instance of that patch. So in this example, I have the abstraction _demo, and you'll notice that I have two arguments. These arguments correspond to the changeable arguments #1 and #2. You can have up to 9 changeable arguments, which again you'll type in as arguments in the abstraction. Let's open up this abstraction and see what's going on inside. Make it a little bit larger. In this select object, I've put the first changeable argument #1, which has been replaced by 1, which is the first changeable argument in the argument for this abstraction. For the second argument, 48, I've put that in this message box as #2, which again has been changed to the second argument of 48. You can place the changeable argument anywhere in your patch, and it doesn't need to be first when you're putting it into a message, so I can use #1 test or test #1, and the order doesn't matter. However, there is an exception if you are using this for the long name, short name, or scripting name of a UI object. Then the changeable argument #1 or #2, whatever number it is, has to come first. #0 is a unique identifier, and it is replaced by a number in your patch that is set by max. You cannot set this number yourself. Unique identifiers are useful if you're reusing code throughout your patch, and you have named objects like sends and receives or buffers that have names that you don't want to conflict with each other. So for example, if you have a send and receive you're using within an abstraction, like a velocity value, and you don't want the velocity value to be changed across the abstractions, then you'd want to use #0. #0 must be placed first in the argument. So in this example, I've test _#0. The #0 wasn't replaced, but here it was when I put #0 first. Nested abstractions don't inherit the #0 and the #1 through 9 changeable arguments. So this nested abstraction will have a different unique identifier, and it will just have zeros for #1 and #2 because I didn't set any changeable argument. If for some reason you want to organize your code in a way that the nested abstractions do inherit those arguments, you could simply assign #0, #1, and #2, or whatever arguments you want as an argument for the nested abstraction, and then that will in turn change those arguments and pass them on to the nested abstraction. Subpatchers do inherit the unique identifier and the changeable arguments of the parent abstraction. So you'll see here, #0, 1000 is the same, as well as #1 and #2. One thing you need to be careful of is when you edit an abstraction. If I go in the bottom left here, I can click on the pencil icon to edit this abstraction. But any changes I make, if I save the patch, will then overwrite this file. So you need to be careful if you are making edits. However, this is also what makes abstractions so useful. If you're using the same code throughout your patch, instead of having to go and change the code everywhere, you can just change it in one patch, and then all the abstractions will be updated. Now let's look at the other abstraction. And here I have 2 for the first changeable argument and 50 as the second. And I have a different unique identifier of 1002. So in this simple example, I have 2 voices of a sequencer, and I can change the velocity of both voices independently from one another. And the number output by Metro will trigger the first or second voice. So I can also add a third voice to this. It changes to random 3, so it'll output 1, 2, or 3. Now when I start the Metro, it'll send out a bang every 250 milliseconds, and random will output a value either 0, 1, or 2, add 1 to change the range to 1 through 3, and then it'll output one of the pitches. So to recap, changeable arguments are placed in an abstraction and replace #1 through #9. And unique identifiers are used in abstractions to give a unique number to that abstraction in subpatchers, which is used usually for named objects like sends and receives. Putting all of these ideas together is a great way to organize your patches and reuse code without having to rewrite your code every time you need to make a change. I hope you found this useful. Please let me know if you have any questions or need other clarifications. Otherwise, until next time, class is dismissed.